Next time you should use a drone instead
I
of
know, we're going to fly me up here. Buongiorno, that's Hebrew, right? I'm deeply culturally ignorant.
and proud.
Welcome.
And proud of that.
Yeah, well, I'm learning. I literally know, well, I do know plenty of Hebrew, but it's all like Yiddish from Brooklyn. Okay, Yariv, Bash, you make delivery drones. And these are very cool delivery drones. Tell us a little bit about delivery drones and what's your secret sauce? What makes your drone special?
So at Flytrex, we're developing systems that enable deliveries by drones. We do not produce the drones themselves. We buy commercial off-the-shelf drones and we use them, just like FedEx buys trucks and use them for deliveries. And the secret sauce that we've developed is a platform, a cloud-based platform that enables regular Joes, you don't have to be a certified pilot, to operate a fleet of drones without any special training. And we see that as the future, where you've got fleets of drones flying in the air, and you basically trust the computers and the clouds to make a much better decision than any human can possibly make when you've got tens of thousands of those flying above your city.
So the assumption is that all these drones are autonomous, all these drones are self-controlled, and there's no human being in the loop at all.
God, no.
Yeah, so
just a nice trivia fact: we're the premium that we're paying for third-party liability insurance today, flying above a city, is half of what an Uber driver pays for his insurance. So according to insurance companies, this is already safer, and we're only getting started.
Now I hate humans too, but why do you prefer having a computer run these things versus a human? It's out of curiosity.
When you've got 10,000 different vehicles flying above your head, only a computer can make the needed calculations. In case of an error or a trouble, I'd rather have a computer come up with this solution than having someone holding a joystick trying to navigate a drone above a city.
Is there ever going to be a situation where it's augmented? We'll get into this a little later, where the human's augmented by the computer, or are we just assuming there's going to be some quantum machine that can run every drone in airspace over New York?
So it's going to be controlled by computers. The FAA together with NASA are currently working on the baseline for unmanned traffic management, but the general assumption that it's going to be completely autonomous. It's too many vehicles in the air. The current air traffic control in the States for manned airplanes is almost maxed out. And if you're talking about unmanned vehicles, that's going to be 10 times or even more vehicles simultaneously in the air, and you just can't really control it with humans.
Okay. Tell me about Reykjavik. You guys actually have drones flying around in Reykjavik right now, delivering stuff to neighborhoods.
So actually, Flytrex became the first company to deploy a real working project in Reykjavik last year. It was summer in Iceland. Iceland, the weather in the winter is not that great. And actually this week we're starting to expand the project in Iceland, in Reykjavik, starting to fly almost around the entire city. And next week we hope to start delivering to backyards across the city. And that's going to be the first time in the world where you'll be able to actually order sushi or a hamburger, and instead of an hour and a half, you're going to get it in 20 minutes to your backyard without tipping anyone. You said you hate humans. You won't even have to get dressed.
That's good, because I'm rarely ever dressed. Tell me how it works from top to bottom. What does this new process look like? Because there's obviously still a human putting stuff into a box and sending it out.
So we've partnered with AHA. AHA is the largest online retailer in Iceland. Basically, we've trained their personnel. We've supplied them with drones. All they have to do is insert the package inside the box on the drone, press approve, and from that moment on, our system takes care of everything. The drone takes off with a pre-planned route. The end customer receives a notification. He can see the drone in real time. Once the drone arrives and hovers above your house, all you have to do is approve delivery. The drone lowers to 15 meters or 50, 60 feet or so, lowers the package on a wire to the ground, and flies back without even landing in your backyard.
Now, did you guys do it in Reykjavik because it's a smaller city? Could this happen in New York?
So we just got accepted to one of the 10 pilots that are scheduled to launch later this year in the States, one of the 10 FAA pilots. And hopefully by the end of this year, you will see drones flying above North Carolina as well.
All right, well, that's kind of sparsely populated as well. Can you tell me a story about what happens when somebody sees one of these drones dropping off their sushi? Have you seen this?
So it's, people are excited, and it's kind of viral, because once you see the drone delivering sushi to your neighbor's house, immediately you're like, okay, wow, I want that as well. It's like holding an iPhone for the first time when all you have in your pocket is a Nokia. So it's like a moment when you realize that things can move a lot faster. You can get your stuff almost as fast as you can order it online. And I think that's the major milestone that we humans are going to pass once drone deliveries will be here.
So the drone's fairly heavy, the drone's fairly big, it's going to be flying around all over the place. Is it worth having a really heavy object over my head just to deliver me sushi?
So I don't think you're going to see refrigerators or large screen TVs flying above you anytime soon.
But that would be cool.
It is, but when you look up at the skies, you see 787, 747s flying above you, and you're just okay with that. And when a 787 lands on your neighborhood, that's a problem for the neighborhood. When one of our drones lands or crashes in a neighborhood, it's mostly our problem.
Okay.
Nobody gets hurt from it's 15 kilos or so. If it crashes, it will 98% of the time will crash on a rooftop or in an open area. We plan our routes so they'll be will be flying as little as possible above human's head. So it's a lot safer than anything today. Every car that will take off the road because we'll be using drones will make our lives much safer.
What does what happens when people like throw pitchforks at it or something like that? Is there any pushback, especially in Reykjavik?
So 15 meters up in the air, it's like throwing something at a window on the 5th floor or
Sure.
so. It's really hard to hit him. On top of that, the drone has redundancies. If a motor or two stops functioning, the drone just comes back home. So it's a pretty reliable machine. That's why we'd rather hover in the air instead of land. You just ordered sushi worth of $20 or something like that. I don't want you near my $5,000 drone.
What do we have to change culturally to make this? And we just talked about this in the lift panel as well. What do we have to change culturally to make autonomous acceptable, or is it going to be instantaneous like the mobile revolution?
I think it's going to be like the mobile revolution. Once you understand what are the benefits from drone deliveries, mainly instant gratification, and we love instant gratification, that's going to be it. If you can get your iPhone 12 2 years from now, within 20 minutes from the moment you've ordered it, there's no way you're going to wait for next day delivery. And that would be it.
Okay, so you're a bit of a futurist. What do our cities look like once you're done with your mission?
Basically, they're going to be the same as they are today. A lot less trucks and scooters hovering around or traveling around. But basically, when we fly at 70 or 100 meters up in the air, 200 or 300 feet, you can't hear us, you can't see us, only if you really squeeze your eyes and try to find us. It's going to be a lot quieter than it is today.
Does your company still exist in the future, or is this a public good? Is this a public utility? Because I mean, like the FAA, for example, is federal, as is the Aviation Authority. The idea that one company is going to run all the air traffic over a city seems kind of odd.
So you're going to have a few companies doing the traffic management layer. You can think of that like the roads and the street signs and those kind of things. We're the logistics layer. We're going to see a lot of players like us, and as the industry will move forward, you'll see consolidation, like in any other industry. But that's going to be basically a commercial operation. Amazon are working on that as well. And for us, Amazon are amazing enablers, and they help to educate the market. And once Amazon starts doing that for Amazon customers, any other retailer in the States will need a similar solution. Otherwise, it's going to be like the year 2018 without a website. If you want to be part of the game, you'll be out of the game.
But you're actually expecting like the roads and street signs to be outsourced to companies.
We're already seeing that today. You've got companies like AirMap, which in some of the projects we're already working with, and they're going to enable the traffic management. You're going to have services like delivery services from different companies, inspection drones, military or police drones flying around, and you're going to need that layer of traffic management the same way that you need the streetlights today. You need those to help manage the traffic on the ground, and you're going to need that for the drones of the future.
Why did you build this out here in Israel? I mean, SF is the place to go if you want a horrible quality of life and to really hate your experience. But that's where you're supposed to go with this kind of stuff, right? Why did you build it out here?
Well, I love my city. I love my country. I love Tel Aviv. And at the end, Flytrex is all about the software. In Iceland, we've got drones flying on a daily basis. We charge them per flight, and we can sit here in Tel Aviv and just enjoy the revenues coming in. As we start focusing on Northern America and West Europe, we'll start seeing operations there as well. But as a company, you know, why not enjoy the sunlight in Israel?
And the hummus. All right.
And the hummus.
Hummus. They do a little throat in there too. Hummus. What about humans? You're going to put a lot of delivery boys out of work. I never delivered pizzas, but I had friends who did, and they were mostly stoned all the time. So the assumption that they are doing a better job than a drone is probably untrue. But what are those kids going to do?
Well, instead of delivering 2.5 pizzas per hour
Yeah.
in the current on-demand services, they can be operating 2 to 3 drones making 15 deliveries per hour. And they're going to get a nice income. They're not going to be dependent on tips. They'll receive a better salary from Flytrex or from the local company operating the service.
So are you expecting that that's going to be the case? Because everybody's saying now there's sort of a meme going around where the internet was supposed to destroy all these jobs, but actually it makes us work even more now. It's kind of changed this. What happens to the truck driver? What happens to the pilot? What happens to the guy in the Ford Duster?
That's what's nice with the Flytrex system. You can don't be stoned, but you can be stoned operating the system. It's really that simple.
Okay. So you should be stoned operating Flytrex. There you
If
go.
you install a depleted battery, the system just alerts you to replace the battery.
Okay.
It's really as simple as that.
Okay. Let's talk about your spacecraft. You have spacecraft, which is pretty badass.
So at the end of 2010, me and 2 of my friends started working on a spacecraft. It's called Space IL, as in Space Israel. We were part of the Google Lunar X Prize competition.
Were you guys just like drinking beers, just hanging out, and just like, let's just make a
It was
space...
actually Scotch, but yes,
Okay.
there was a lot of alcohol involved in making a decision to go to the moon.
When me and my friends do that, we just make bad decisions.
Well, if we'll crash, it would be a bad decision. But,
Okay, but the drone will catch you. You'll be fine.
Exactly. So back then, we registered at the Google Lunar X Prize competition. It was a Google-sponsored competition to send an unmanned spacecraft to the moon. Since then, we've outgrown the competition. For us, it's making Israel the first nation to land on the moon. We actually started as a not-for-profit. We've got hundreds of volunteers going into classrooms all over Israel. It doesn't matter if you're ultra-Orthodox or secular, Muslim or a Jew. Kids just love it when it comes to spacecraft. And the vision of Space IL is creating thousands and tens of thousands of new scientists and engineers for Israel. And it happened before, during the Apollo times, the Apollo project. Apparently kids went in increasing numbers to become scientists and engineers. It was called the Apollo effect. And back then it was a side effect. For Space IL, that's our vision, and we're working on that. And the spacecraft is scheduled to be launched on top of a SpaceX rocket at the end of this year. And we're going to land on the moon early next year.
But it's going to be unmanned. It's not
Unmanned, yeah.
Could you send like a monkey or like a...
Or a guy in a wheelchair.
Yeah, I think you'd enjoy it up there. It'd be fun.
I would, but it's a one-way trip, so...
Yeah, there's not a lot of ramps either.
We actually, when you speak with politicians about the project, they're all like, I've got someone that I want you to put on board. Well, if the price is right, we'll put whatever you want inside.
I want to go back to this, and we have about 5 minutes left. I want to go back to this. The idea that you, as a private individual, and all your drinking buddies are making spacecraft. Elon Musk is making spacecraft and also being horrible. And Bezos is doing the exact same thing. What is happening right now, do you think, in terms of science and technology, that are governments dropping the ball, or is it just that the private sector has a lot more money?
Well, I think that, in the 70s and 80s, billionaires with too much money, all they could afford was a really huge yacht. Mm-hmm. And today they can afford space programs, which is pretty cool.
So the difference is that you used to be able to just buy stuff, and now you can buy basically the moon.
Or a trip to the moon. But more seriously, I think that this is something, it's a push in the right direction. Nevertheless, going to the moon or going to Mars, there's really no direct commercial benefit in doing so. When we opened up SpaceL, we had 32 other competitors. Most of them were for-profit companies. All of them have failed miserably. There's, when you come to an investor or a potential investor, you tell him, listen, I'm going to send a spacecraft to the moon for $100 million. Okay, so where's the ROI? And there's really no direct ROI in going to the moon or to Mars. You can talk about future governmental missions that will pay you money, or maybe future IP, things like that. It doesn't make sense. But when you talk about the social ROI that such a project can impact and make on a nation, that's where you can see the real impact.
So the real value of space travel is what
it's
what
still
it
governmental.
Does, what it
it's
does.
Still,
Okay.
yeah, it's still scientific and governmental, and those kind of things are still pushed by governments. Even for Elon Musk, I mean, if he'll go to his board of directors and tell them, I'm going to spend $100 billion on a mission on sending people to Mars, okay, but where's the money coming from? And that's still a huge problem.
So you're not expecting that we're going to be able to set up mines on Mars, and then we're going to send Arnold Schwarzenegger up there, and he's going to meet Quato.
So, people talk about living on other planets. A lot sooner than that, we'll see people living in the depths of the oceans. It's a lot closer. You don't have to wait 6 minutes for your WhatsApp message to arrive to the other side. It doesn't cost $1 million per kilo to send someone there. It's going to be a lot easier. But
we just have to invent faster than light travel. Could you pull that off too?
That's probably going to be governmentally funded as well. All the basic scientific research is governmentally funded, and I don't think that we'll see that changes anytime soon.
All right, what's next for Flytrex? What are you guys building out next?
So now we're expanding in Iceland. We're going to see, you'll be able in a few weeks to fly to Iceland, install the app, and just order a sushi to your backyard if you have a backyard in Iceland. Next is operations in North Carolina, together with the FAA, delivering fast food to people's backyards. And during this year as well, we're going to see another operation in a Latin America country, doing the same thing, delivering food to backyards in Latin America. So with those 3 projects, we're pretty much, we've got enough on our hands, sending engineers and business people all over the world. It's for an Israeli company, that's quite exciting as it is.
Okay, please don't send any more fast food to North Carolina. I want you to understand what's going on there. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but just don't do that anymore. Send fresh fruit and like a nice piece of fish or a brisket. All right, I'm going to get us off here. Thank you very much. This was beautiful.
John.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.